Mailto madness. Jaden Mailto wills USC football to their first win under the new quarterback era.
It's rivalry week. USC will be taking on the Bruins this Saturday for their annual Crosstown Showdown.
And women's soccer continues dancing into the second round of the NCAA tournament. Coming up on Sports Scene. Welcome back to Sports Scene. I'm Grace Schneider.
I'm Liam Irvin.
And I'm Pickle Coleman. Let's get right into things. On Saturday, the Trojans are headed to Rose Bowl Stadium for their anticipated crosstown rivalry game against UCLA. UCLA won this game last year when the Trojans played them at home, so USC is looking for some redemption this time around. Their former defensive coordinator now joins the Trojans, and he talked about the matchup yesterday at football practice.
I think just from being in the NFL, I've bounced around so many times, played former co-workers and players I've coached, that it's just something that I'm used to. I think it makes it a little bit more exciting, but I think at the end of the day, once the game starts, it's just ball at the end of the day.
And rivalry week is not just about this football game. The Trojan Knights and USC Hellenes dedicate this week to guarding USC's most prized possessions on campus, Tommy the Trojan and Hecuba. All the antics on campus are fun and all, but looking back at the football side, the Trojans do have a better record and momentum on their side, but potentially maybe facing some bad luck. Every time it's rained during a crosstown showdown, the Bruins have happened to come out on top, and it is supposed to rain on Saturday. So, if the Trojans want to gain control on the victory bell and bowl eligibility, they'll have to put an end to the rain day curse and show the Bruins who really runs LA. Now let's hand it over to Casey and Liam to talk about USC's new offensive leader, Jaden Mailto.
Mailto, what a cut, touchdown!
Jaden Mailto gave the USC football squad just about everything it expected on Saturday in the Coliseum, taking on the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Let's break down his performance play to play. This first play is something that I think not a lot of people realize watching the game. First drive, first quarter for Jaden Mailto as a starter. Look at where he catches this ball. He's on the left hash. That means if he's throwing to the right side of the field, he's going to have to air this ball out a lot. He's looking to Kyle Ford. He works through his progressions. This is going to be a ball that's 25 yards in the air. A strong arm from Mailto on display right here. He fits it in a tight window for Kyle Ford on that drag route. That's a really hard throw. That's something that Miller Moss might not be able to do. That's something that will have Lincoln Riley smiling ear to ear.
Yeah, well, I want to take a look at an impactful throw later in the first quarter that displayed Mailto's faith in his receivers. So let's get into the situation. So second and long, Trojans have Deuce Robinson out wide, Zachariah Branch in the slot, Woody Marks in the backfield with two tight ends on the left side of the offensive line. So they're looking deep, especially Mailto's looking to that right side. So as you can see, Zachariah Branch is going to come in motion to give Mailto that screen option if he needs it. Mailto's going to run out and roll out to his right to try to make the play easier for himself, but it's definitely not easy. The defender's all up in his business, and he's throwing off his back foot. And he's going to make a throw here. That's not his best throw. Easily could have been picked off, but that's having trust in your 6'6" receiver, Deuce Robinson, to go up there and make that grab. And he does, putting them first and goal in position to score, which they did. Mailto did throw a pick six and lost a fumble last Saturday, but he ultimately got the job done. The redshirt sophomore went 25 of 35 with 259 yards, throwing for 3 scores and running one in himself. So, Liam, did you kind of see what you expected to see out of Jaden Mailto last Saturday, and what are you kind of looking forward to seeing from him against the Bruins?
Yeah, unfortunately, one of the poor spots for him was his decision-making. We knew that was an issue coming over from UNLV. It seems like it's transferred over as well. So the reads, some progressions weren't there for Mailto, but the simple playmaking ability, like you talked about, Casey, is really what's promising for the USC Trojans quarterback, and the fact that he can make plays with his runs. But what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, I expected to see some nervousness. Obviously, it's his first real test as a Trojan. Obviously came into some games when the game was already over. So I expected to see that, and we saw him early on throw that pick six, but he really found his groove, and finding his groove with those receivers was important, especially the depth they have on the receiving end. But let's toss it back to the desk to Grace to talk about some of USC's recruits.
Thanks, guys. Last Sunday, USC faced a massive recruiting shakeup in the quarterback room. Five-star 2025 quarterback Julian Lewis announced his decision to decommit from the Trojans last weekend after originally committing in August 2023. The 6-foot signal caller from Carrollton, Georgia is the 6th-ranked quarterback in his class, but it didn't take long for Lincoln Riley to fill his spot. Shortly after Lewis's decommitment, 5-star Hassan Longstreet flipped his commitment from Texas A&M to USC. As a 4th-ranked QB of 2025, Longstreet may just be the offensive answer Riley and the Trojans are looking for. But Julian Lewis isn't the first commit that USC has lost out on. Thomas Johnson has more.
Thanks, Grace. Lincoln Riley and company have put in a valiant effort this recruiting cycle, trying to snatch recruits right out of SEC country. But they have had mixed results. The Trojans were able to secure verbal pledges from 5 top 60 recruits from Florida, Alabama, and Georgia during the cycle, but every single one of them have since decommitted. If USC wants to get back to the national spotlight, the Trojans need to go back to their recruiting roots, California. Let's take a look at one of the best recruiting classes in USC history, 2011. The Trojans had the 3rd best recruiting class in the nation that year, and the main pieces of that class were from California. Their 8 best recruits, yes, 8, went to high school in the Golden State, and overall 20 of the 29 recruits were from California. California has some of the best talent in the country, and yet USC has tried hard to recruit from the South. Only 2 of the top 20 recruits in California are pledged to the Trojans, amid reports that USC has not even tried to recruit from SoCal powerhouses St. John Bosco and Mater Dei. The fact that the Trojans were able to get Hassan Longstreet to flip his commitment from Texas A&M when they already had the commitment from another quarterback suggests that SoCal players want to stay close to home. USC can't recruit on a national level until it makes a CFP, plain and simple. So recruit where it's easier and where there's loads of talent, close to campus. Now let's send it over to Casey to talk about a moment in Trojan history where, you guessed it, a California recruit was the hero for USC with a game-winning interception.
I can almost hear the victory bells chimes and feel the gusting Rose Bowl wins. Rivalry week is really upon us, isn't it? But let's reminisce a little bit. We only have to go back 2 years ago yesterday to relive the chippiness and high-spirited competitiveness of USC and UCLA's bitter hatred.
Obviously, we hate those guys. Crosstown. There's a bitter feeling with those guys, but at the end of the day, we have to come out here and play Bruin football, execute on our side of the ball, and make sure we're doing everything we can to go out there and win on Saturdays.
In a rainy, back-and-forth thriller in Pasadena, number 7 USC narrowly edged number 16 UCLA 48-45 for its 10th win of the 2022 campaign. Both teams combined for 12 touchdowns, with Trojan running back Austin Jones leading his team with 2, and Heisman Caleb Williams nearly reaching 500 yards on the night. The Trojans forced 4 Dorian Thompson-Robinson turnovers and clinched a Pac-12 title game bid following the victory. Both quarterbacks would eventually be selected in future NFL drafts. Williams' stellar performance would add greatly to his Heisman resume, while Thompson-Robinson would soon ride into the sunset after spending 5 years donning blue and gold. With other future NFL talents like Jordan Addison and Leatu Latu in the game, it was truly one to be remembered. This Saturday will mark the 94th Crosstown Showdown ever, with USC dominantly leading the all-time series. Unlike 2022, the current squads have been shaky, but the hatred spirit between both programs will surely shine through regardless of the subpar records. That's all for this week in Trojan history. As much as I'd love to stay in the past, there's a current UCLA team to harp on. Liam, which Bruins should USC fans be booing this weekend?
Thanks, Casey. It's rivalry weekend in Los Angeles as the struggling UCLA Bruins host the crosstown rivals USC Trojans this Saturday at 7:30 p.m. at the Rose Bowl Stadium. The Bruins headed to the contest with an overall 4-6 record and a 3-5 effort in conference play. Let's meet the opponent in blue and gold, but before we do, some words from head coach Deshaun Foster.
I don't think we have to do a lot of motivation this week. A lot of guys understand the type of game that this is, and they're eager to get back out there. We still have an opportunity to become bowl eligible, so I think that's playing in it too, but it's 1 week at a time, and it's a big week, so I think these guys are fired up for this opportunity. A lot of families, you know, the smarter one usually comes over here, and then the other one goes to the other school.
Well, clearly Coach Foster has hope, and one of the reasons for that might be his linebacker play. You can't mention the UCLA defense without the anchor in the middle of the field, linebacker Carson Schlesinger. The 6'2", 225-pound ball hawk has been all over the field this season as one of the very few bright spots on the Bruins squad. Number 49 has 109 total tackles on the season, 3 sacks, and 2 interceptions.
My Bruin to watch this week is senior tight end Moliki Matavao. In their pass game where UCLA fell to Washington, Matavao had 7 receptions and 1 touchdown for 68 yards. He is UCLA's leading receiver with 31 receptions on the season thus far.
On this rivalry weekend, USC will need to keep an eye out for the Bruins' lead rusher, junior running back TJ Harden. Out of UCLA's 854 total rushing yards, Harden is responsible for nearly 45% of those total yards. However, in last weekend's loss against the Huskies, Harden only mustered 32 rushing yards, but he's a bigger threat catching the ball out of the backfield, putting up 79 receiving yards against Washington. Harden leads the team in catches as well and is second in receiving yards, so USC will want to contain him as a receiver to keep the UCLA passing attack in check. Now guys, heading into this iconic rivalry matchup, how do you see this game playing out?
This is set to be a really exciting matchup, in my opinion. I mean, both of these teams obviously had struggles in their seasons. UCLA had a 5-game losing streak before, starting to win some games, and USC just got back to a 500 record after that win against Nebraska. And then especially, if you look into these quarterbacks on both teams, USC just put in Jada Mayava for the first time against Nebraska. He obviously threw that interception early, but definitely showed some strength with an air raid offense down the line. And then obviously on the UCLA side, Ethan Garber's got sacked 6 times in their past game. So it should be a really interesting and honestly close matchup coming up.
Yeah, I think the beauty about the rivalry is that for either squad, a win will mean a successful season for either team. I'm looking at the turnovers for either squad. 5 turnovers in the past 2 games for the USC Trojans, and a Trojan offense that doesn't hit 67% passing percentage is 0-4 on the season. So you got to come out and throw the ball to start the game and limit the turnovers to the best of your ability.
Let's look at the offenses. USC's offense has a lot of talent, a lot of star receivers, and overall, while there's been some quarterback concerns, they've had a pretty solid season, and the addition of Mayava has done good for the Trojans. But on the UCLA side of things, it's been a little rocky for the Bruins. We'll see how they match up, but it'll definitely be in USC's interest to use all of their offensive weapons. But Pickle, I want to touch on something you talked about earlier, which was the superstition about the rain. Do you really think that the rain will help USC this time if it happens on Saturday?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it depends how you play it out. I mean, rain is rain. Crazy things happen, but I think because it is rivalry week and there is some magic in the air on this campus, you never know.
Anything could happen.
Anything could happen, guys.
Well, this will definitely be a big game to watch. And speaking of big games, coming up, we're going to be talking about how women's volleyball earned their 2nd ranked win of the season.
And football is not the only team with a rivalry game this weekend. A top 10 matchup comes to the Galen Center on Saturday. We preview the game coming up next on Sportsy.
The kick out, Smith, the opposite corner for 3. Cash in those points off turnovers has been key as Heckel. Watkins fires a 3. That's true. Iwuchukwu.
Let me tell you how we amplify our Latine voices. Check out Dímelo. We have it all.
Deportes.
Entertainment. Noticias. ¿Qué tal? Soy Mariela Gómez y bienvenidos a Dime la Hora.
Radio and Podcasting.
Comida y cultura. Digital social media.
¿A qué equipo le vas tú? LA Galaxy o LAFC? Dímelo is the only Latina-focused media outlet at USC. Dímelo. We have it all.
Dímelo. We have it all.
Next to my big friend, I love the big taste of chocolate in this little Hershey's kiss.
Hershey's Kisses, the little kiss with the big taste.
This morning, Billy looked like any other boy, but as the moon rose, he turned into a werewolf. He used new Pa's Halloween makeup kits. His friends did too. Look, Mike's a vampire. Amy's a ghost. Pa's makeup is safer than masks. It never blocks vision, and it's hypoallergenic too. So watch your kids turn into the creatures they really are with new Pa's Halloween makeup kits.
sports scene, USC women's soccer is still dancing after a major opening round win in the NCAA tournament.
Comes Hayes over to her right. That's Colbert. Colbert back to Hayes and a centering pass, and they score right at the right place at the right time. Maria Alagoa, the Florida State transfer.
Soccer cruised past Sacramento State 5-0 this past weekend, advancing the Trojans to the second round of the NCAA tournament. The dominant win marked USC's largest postseason margin of victory since 2021. The Trojans held the Hornets to just one shot on goal while coming out to a quick 3-goal lead within the first 16 minutes. 5 different players tallied goals for USC, with 2 scoring their first goals of the season. Seeded number 1 for the first time in tournament history, USC's depth and defensive efforts shined at Dignity Health Sports Park. The Trojans will now host the 8-seeded St. Louis Billikens in the second round, who took down Kansas 1-0. The winner will take on either number 5 Wisconsin or number 4 Virginia in the third round. Both battles will take place at Great Park in Irvine, and if the Trojans can win out in the quarterfinals, they'll go to North Carolina for the College Cup. USC is undefeated at home and will look to capture its third national championship and first since 2016 as they continue their tournament journey.
Women's basketball. Women's basketball is coming off a historic dominant season and is starting this season in very similar fashion. The Trojans are ranked 3rd in the country, just behind South Carolina and UConn. UConn made it to the semifinals in the last NCAA tournament, and South Carolina obviously won it all. USC really has a chance this season to do some damage in the upcoming NCAA tournament and make some history for USC. On Saturday, number 6 Notre Dame will be in town for a showdown between the 2 best sophomores in the nation, Hannah Hidalgo and Juju Watkins. The Irish have won their first 4 games handily, and the Trojans will be their toughest test yet. With star guard Hannah Hidalgo averaging 25 points per game, the matchup between her and Juju will be a key factor in deciding who comes out on top. Given the anticipation for this big rivalry matchup, what are you guys expecting to see with this USC women's basketball game against Notre Dame?
Yeah, I think forget the football game on Saturday. The big matchup is really in the Galen Center, USC versus Notre Dame. One thing I've been so impressed with the Trojans offense this season is just the distribution. 23 assists, that's a season high versus Santa Clara in the 81-50 win, and just 21 points off turnovers. So they're so dynamic. They can slow down the pace if they need to, or they can push it ahead with Juju.
I think USC is definitely going to be on fire this weekend with Juju Watkins coming off of her 1,000th career point margin victory. She reached the fastest that any Trojan ever has in just 38 games. So USC has a little fire under them, especially Juju Watkins. They're going to be hard to stop.
Absolutely. I mean, Coach Lindsay Gottlieb is really doing something well with this team. She's also brought on some incredible freshmen. She brought on transfer from Stanford, Kiki Iriafin, who's been such a great teammate to have for Juju up there. And, obviously Juju Watkins was shooting the ball so much last season, but it almost seems like this season she can kind of be more of a facilitator, hand it over to other players, lead the way, and be such a leader on this team. So it's obviously been so exciting to see, and it'll be exciting to see this rivalry game on Saturday.
Well, speaking of another USC basketball team, Eric Musselman and the Trojans men's basketball squad has prided themselves in the early season of going with the metaphorical punches. Well, last night they got hit with an uppercut. The Trojans held a 1-point lead at halftime, but the offense struggled in the second half. USC shot 33% from the field and 11% from 3 in the second period, allowing Cal to close the game on an 8-2 run and win the game 71-66. Eric Musselman had firm words for the loss.
Defensively, we have to improve in a lot of areas. I've never played zone defense. We worked on that a little bit this week. We ran it for a possession. They hit a 3. It's really hard to win at this level, if you struggle defensively. And obviously, I've got to try to continue to tinker.
Will the Trojans fight back? They have a chance to tonight at the Galen Center, taking on the San Jose State Spartans, who have struggled in the early season with a 1-4 record. As the Trojans look to rebound from the loss, the Mountain West opponent has yet to score more than 69 points against a Division I squad. The Spartans routed NAIA opponent Life Pacific 93-56 on November 11th, but have since gone 0-4 against Power 5 teams. In part, the struggle could be pointed at the lack of three-point shooting, which the Blue, Gold, and Gray have shot 26% on the season. The Trojans will battle the Spartans tonight at the Galen Center and then play 2 more non-conference games before a big test against the Oregon Ducks on December 4th.
After being swept in their last matchup, number 23 USC women's volleyball completed the comeback at home against number 11 Oregon on Sunday afternoon.
Big hit from Collier. Ariel sets up Batenhorst, looking to end it, and she does! The reverse sweep from USC.
The number 23 ranked Trojans beat the number 11 Oregon Ducks in a comeback effort at Galen Center this past Sunday, as I mentioned, and the women of Troy were down 2 sets to the Ducks before winning 3 consecutive ones to complete the reverse sweep. The Trojans snapped a 3-match losing streak against the Ducks, and they are 5-2 in final set matches this fall as the women of Troy recorded their 2nd win against a top 15 opponent in 2024.
Big hit from Collier.
The number 21 Trojans sit in the back of ranked Big Ten teams, but have a few big games left to climb before the postseason. The Trojans are now off to the Midwest to take on Northwestern this Thursday before playing number 8 Purdue on Saturday. And now, let's hand it over to the couch to hear Terrence and Thomas highlight their players of the week.
Welcome back to another debate. Winter sickness might be going around campus, but we hope Trojan of the Week can bring you some comfort. I'm now joined by Terrence Holton on the couch. We only have one more show until the new year after today. Can you believe it?
It's a shame.
Well, let's get our penultimate show of 2024 started with Mia Tuininga of women's volleyball. The senior setter keeps rising up the record books, now sitting at 2nd in program history for career assists after a 58-assist week. At current pace, she is slated to set the program record for career assists in the 2nd round of the NCAA tournament.
My Trojan of the Week is USC football star running back who hit a career milestone this past week. Of course, I'm talking about Woody Marks. This past week against Nebraska, Marks ran for a career-high 146 yards, as well as racked up 6 receptions for 36 yards. Marks also reached a career milestone, reaching 1,000 rushing yards for the first time ever. Go for it.
No.
You know, I'd love to go.
I'm in a giving mood. I'll let you
defend
to go first.
All right, let's just talk about, as we've mentioned, this is career milestones for both of them. Congrats to them both. 1,000 yards is insane. It's incredible for him. This is a guy never reached over 600 yards in his career. 4 years before this in Mississippi State, never came close. Comes here, he becomes the first Trojan to reach 1,000 rushing yards in a season since Ronald Jones in 2017.
Well, I'm going to talk about, something that hasn't been done since 2017. But Mia Tuininga is 2nd in career assists for this entire program. So that's not something that's been done only once in her career. And she is 190 assists away from the program record. And she had 48 assists this past week.
That's a lot of assists, I'm going to be honest.
Well, she's slated to do it in the 2nd round of the NCAA tournament.
It's an interesting projection, but okay.
No. I've done the math.
Okay.
She averages 38 assists a week.
Now? I didn't know you were a math. I thought you were a journalism
I've
major.
always been a math guy.
Okay, all right.
She averages around 38 assists per week, per game. And she has 5 more left in the regular season. You give her 2 more in the NCAA tournament, she hits the record.
All right, I believe you.
But now back to Woody Marks. I love the touchdowns he scored this weekend. How many was it? Was it? No.
That is a great point you make, Thomas, because I would like to bring out, how many wins did Mia Tuininga have?
She had 1.
You had 1, and how many losses?
Well, she also had 1 against the number 6 team in the country.
0-3, they got swept.
The number 6 team in the country.
Destroyed by the number 6 team.
USC played Nebraska in football, an unranked team that's 5 took care of business.
I would argue this is one of their better wins of the season.
Took care of business against a 5-5 team.
Yeah, and guess what? They had a lot of big recruits, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of big guys on campus. They took care of business, really turned around the season.
Are we talking about the team or Woody Marks?
We're talking about Woody Marks, and he was a key part of it. He was the best player on that team.
He didn't score a single touchdown.
Doesn't matter that he didn't score it.
Jaden Mayava had 4 touchdowns.
Snaked it up. That's all I'll say.
Okay, well, it may be a week before the holiday, but I'm still here to give thanks. Terrence, I appreciate the ability to debate with you.
I appreciate you as well, Thomas. I appreciate that.
Well, let's send it over when we come back from break. One USC tennis player is making her mark on the national stage, and with the NBA Cup heating up, we break down the state of Los Angeles basketball. All next on Sports Scene.
Reeves will try his 3. Got it. Yes. Short-handed teams this month, and they've been taking advantage of it. LeBron, mid-range.
Presenting Sheer Madness, Circuit City's Midnight Madness sale. Wednesday only till midnight. Circuit City will go raving mad with shocking reductions on hundreds of items. Wednesday only, this Sony 19-inch color TV with remote control, just $397. Save on this JVC compact disc player, just $198. Circuit City's Midnight Madness sale. Get there by midnight before the curtain falls.
What? There's something under the bed. I heard something. There's nothing under the bed. I heard something. See, look. It's just Fluffy. He got scared by a dumb cat. I wasn't scared. I told you there was nothing under the bed.
Gosh, Burger Chef, it's Wolfburger the werewolf. Where can I get delicious burgers? Where can I get fun food? Where, oh where? At Burger Chef. Where?
And now at participating Burger Chefs, you can buy fun meals that now come on Halloween magic meal trays. There's a magic trick in each fun meal. There are 10 different magic meal tricks you can collect.
Burger Chef, you're incredible!
Welcome back to Sports Scene. It is exciting times for USC women's tennis these days. Senior Grace Piper, is set to compete at the NCAA Singles Championship with the Trojans kicking off action today in Waco, Texas. Grace Piper punched her ticket to the NCAA Singles Championship after a commanding 7-5, 6-2 victory over WSU's at the ITA Sectional Championships on November 10th. Already qualified in doubles with partner Lily Fairclough, Piper has proven to be a force this season. The team now sets their sights on singles and doubles competition through Friday. Grace Piper will be competing in the NCAA Championships individuals and doubles all this week. Her next match is today against Oklahoma's Julia Garcia-Ruiz. The playoff tournament is just beginning, and the reigning champs, the Los Angeles Lakers, are looking to two-peat. Our reporter, Daniel Palmore, has more.
NBA season is well underway, and both LA teams have gotten off to fast starts as NBA Cup action begins to ramp up. James Harden's 20 points and 9 assists per game have been keeping the Clippers competitive as Kawhi Leonard remains sidelined. On Sunday, Harden passed Hall of Famer Ray Allen for second all-time on the three-point field goals list, and on Monday, the Clippers knocked off the top-seeded Golden State Warriors. And it looks like Showtime is back in downtown Los Angeles. The Lakers have won 6 games in a row and currently have the number 3 seed in the West. The Lakers' most recent win came against the Utah Jazz in their first home NBA Cup game. LeBron James and Anthony Davis both scored 25 points, but it was rookie Dalton Knecht who stole the show with 37 points and 9 made threes. Both LA teams are shooting above 45% from the field and are well in the hunt for the postseason. The Lakers also have the league's 4th highest offensive rating, and both teams have similar rebounding numbers, grabbing over 40 per game. And the Orlando Magic are in town to take on both LA teams, with the Clippers playing tonight and the Lakers playing tomorrow night. And that's all I have, so let's hear about some of the brightest moments in USC athletics this fall.
Thanks, Daniel. With Thanksgiving right around the corner, let's take a look back on USC athletics this year. From the highs and the lows, the dominant wins to the heartbreaking losses, we're thankful for USC athletics. No matter what, they always deliver and help us to put on a great show each and every Wednesday. As the fall season comes to a close and as USC heads into the winter, here at Sports Scene, we want to take a moment to appreciate all things USC athletics, from the coaches to the managers and, of course, the athletes. So, guys, what are you thankful for in USC sports?
I think I'm thankful for Snoop Dogg. He was on campus yesterday. Not a USC athletics thing, but this is what boosts the program and just makes USC such a nationally known program and organization.
His work at the Olympics was pretty great, promoting
athletics.
athletics.
He was promoting us there. Good.
Yeah. Who are you thankful for?
Oh my gosh, for me, I've got to say this women's basketball team. I mean, after, the struggles we've had these past 2 years with our football program, women's basketball has risen to the occasion and put on a great show for us here, and obviously with Juju Watkins being such an inspiration for so many women's basketball players and just everyone all over the country. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
How about you, Grace?
Yeah, I'm thankful for Tommy Trojan. You know, this is a dangerous week for him. Shout out to the Trojan Knights for protecting him day in and day out. He brings lots of smiles to people's faces, and hopefully we bring out that victory this weekend. But that's all the time we have for today on Sports Scene. I'm Grace Schneider.
I'm Liam Irvin.
And I'm Pickle Coleman. We will see you next time, and
Bye
fight on!